How you guys doing? Welcome back to part 2 of how to write lyrics. So in part 1 I showed you how to get through that initial writer's block. So maybe you were able to get a chorus down, a verse, a couple lines at the very least. You've decided on a topic or a theme or an idea. But now you're finding that you're running into other challenges that maybe that method doesn't really address, such as finding the right word that rhymes and still makes sense. So that's what we're going to look at in today's video. So one thing you have to understand is that at least in the modern pop world, lyrics are constantly evolving over time. So an approach that may have worked in the past might not necessarily work today. By using an updated method, we can solve a lot of the problems that we run into when writing modern pop lyrics. So what is this method? Well, in a nutshell, it's all about prioritizing the sound of the lyrics and the words over the actual words and meanings themselves. This is the lyrical approach of modern pop songwriting today. Now don't get me wrong, you still need lyrics with a clear overall theme and idea, but it's more important that they sound good with the melody over anything else. And it's no wonder that bands like BTS, who sing almost exclusively in Korean, can become the world's biggest boy band. So by prioritizing sound over the words, we fix lyric writing's two main problems. One of those is rhyming. When we first start out, we naturally go for those perfect rhymes like red and bed, where the two words have the same amount of syllables, they're on the same accent, and they're pronounced the exact same way. But if we just eased up a little on how strict we are with the rhymes, we can open up a whole lot more choices. So if you're having trouble rhyming, your first tool is to use imperfect or near rhymes. We all know how notoriously hard it is to rhyme with the word orange. Check out this clip of Eminem completely destroying that challenge.
What rhymes with orange?
I put my orange 4-inch door hinge in storage and ate porridge with George.
And remember Sia in the song Chandelier, where she rhymed exist with chandelier?
I can make any word fit. I'm gonna live like tomorrow doesn't exist. Like chandelier and exist.
By prioritizing the sound of the words and how they pronounce these words, Eminem and Sia were able to use words with imperfect rhymes. What if we didn't rhyme at all or use the same word to rhyme? The biggest song of all time, Don't Stop Believing, does both these things. For example, the third verse ends with on and on and on and on instead of rhyming with the word time. Then you get to the chorus and the word night rhymes with night. For a modern example, check out 10,000 Hours by Dan and Shay and Justin Bieber. Neither of the two verses has a rhyme in it. Alright, number 3, borrowing words from the phrase before or the phrase after. You ever write a line and have that N-word rhyme perfectly except it's not the end of the phrase? Or how about the opposite? What if the word in the next phrase would be a perfect rhyme for the one before it? Guess what? That's okay. Used sparingly, it often doesn't detract from the song. In the song Bruises, Lewis Capaldi breaks up a phrase into two so that he can use the word side as the end of the phrase, allowing it to rhyme with tide later on.
There must be something in the tide.
So in a sense, he rolls over that phrase to the next phrase. Now, in conversation, this wouldn't really fly. In conversation, you have to speak in complete phrases to be understood. It's not so with lyrics. In the first verse of Bad Guy, Billy sings,
"Don't say thank you, oh please, I do what I want when I'm wanting to."
This is an example of where you can borrow words from the next phrase because the words I do actually start the next sentence. But in order to complete the phrase before that, and to rhyme with the words you, to, and cynical, she puts I do in the previous phrase. And by the way, that's a perfect example of an imperfect rhyme.
So cynical.
She has to rhyme cynical with you, to, and I do. She does this by pronouncing it cynical.
Cynical.
Okay, so we talked about the importance of words sounding good. But what if you're happy with your choice of word? They're sounding great, but they don't make sense. I'm gonna start this next section off right away with a bold statement. The lyrics don't have to make sense. At least 100% of the time. The opening line to Lewis Capaldi's Bruises goes,
Counting days since my love up and lost on me.
On paper, the sentence is grammatically incorrect and doesn't really make sense, but in the context of the song, we know what Lewis is trying to say. A line that would have made complete sense is, counting days since my love left me. The problem with that is, there's more to the melody. So he needed more words in order to fit those words into the melody. And as we know, the sound of the words with the melody is much more important than the words themselves. Alright, use repetition. The great thing about not having to make sense all the time is that you can repeat words. In the song's Shape of You, Ed ends the pre-chorus with not only a repeat of the word come, but that last line is also a repeat of the second to last line.
Coming down, follow my lead. Coming down, follow my lead.
The current #1 song is Selena Gomez's Hate You to Love Me, where the chorus goes,
To love, love, yeah. To love, love, yeah. To love, yeah.
Repetition is everywhere these days, so don't be afraid to use it as one of your tools. Using wordless words. How about this? Don't use words at all. Instead, use vowels and interjections such as oohs, ahs, and ums. For my Billie Eilish fans, she does this in the song I Love You, using oohs and ahs. Lastly, guys, experiment using metaphors. Metaphors are especially great because they're shorter phrases packed with a lot of meaning, imagery, and emotion. And they help you avoid using overused phrases.
There must be something in the water.
In the song Bruises, Lewis sets up a story of love lost in the verse and pre-chorus. But then out of nowhere in the chorus, he starts talking about drowning in cold water. And it's not clear until the end that he's using a metaphor. But it works beautifully to help his listeners really understand and feel what he's going through. And it helped him avoid using boring, overused, and predictable phrases. Alright guys, I hope that helps. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe and hit that like button to show your support. And please let me know in the comments if you found these tips useful or if there's other tips that you'd like to add. Be sure to look out for part 3 where we're going to talk about that infamously challenging verse 2 and bridge. Alright, I'll see you guys on the next one.